Welcome to Delightfully Dysfunctional, a podcast about navigating the emotions of the human condition and the challenges that come with it. I'm Kaylani Persian Mason, a psychotherapist and life coach with James Timmons, an ever-curious human. This is not a replacement for mental health therapy. Please seek out mental health care if that's what you're needing. This is an opportunity for self-healers to dive deep and understand more about themselves. Welcome back to Delightfully Dysfunctional. I'm Kaylani, and I'm here with James.
You gave me a theme song.
Yeah, I was feeling it.
I like it. You just went with it. I love it. Yeah, I was gonna unveil my theme song, but you stole my thunder.
I did. Would you like a second try?
No, I'm just kidding. I didn't have a theme song.
Oh man.
Now I do.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Oh man. Did you have a good weekend?
Weekend?
Yeah, it's Wednesday now, but I haven't seen you in a while. Did you see me?
Yeah. This last week I was sharing offline that about a week ago I attempted stand-up comedy for the first time in my life.
How many people were in the audience? I didn't ask you that.
Well, it was no one I knew.
Right.
But it was, I would say...
That's what you wanted. You drove out of town. That's what you wanted. Yeah.
I would say like 50 people.
Wow.
It was a pretty decent turnout. And it's a really cool club. Like next time I do it, you guys will have to like go up and I actually, cause one of our few past guests, Katie, lives over there now, and she said she'll come check it out. So like we could all go and like,
a good idea.
Like paint, but it's like a Tuesday or Wednesday typically. So
okay,
like rough.
okay.
But you know, you can go up
and
yeah.
Okay. So are you gonna like do it again solo, or do you think you would invite for people to come and watch you?
I would invite this time. This was like just a huge agreement I had made with myself, like a test.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want anyone there that knows me because I will freeze, you know, and and I went for it and it was really great. It was fun.
Yay. And you got good laughs?
No.
Okay. That doesn't matter. Yeah. This ties in great with this episode, so keep going.
Well, I had a set all planned out, but then like that same day I was like, no, this would be funnier. And it was really morbid. And I started talking about cannibalism. I think I texted to you.
No, not any of this. No.
Okay.
You told me about the gay guy who said gave you a compliment.
He wasn't gay. He said I was gay. Yeah. He said, I think
that's even better.
He said, I think that guy was a serial killer because he was good looking and funny and charming and fit and kind of gay. And I was like, that was like the most compliments I've received ever.
Compliment. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
You called me a serial killer and gay, which are not true, but the other things I'll take for sure.
Yeah. Maybe like serial killer, like you're smooth. Maybe you're killing it. That's
like
what he meant.
Ted Bundy.
You're killing the set.
Oh, I see what you did there. No, I talked about cannibalism and decapitation in my set.
You're a freak. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And nobody really laughed because I feel like it's not relatable for most people.
Yeah. Most people, unless you're at a set for cannibals.
Yeah, there was some guy laughing really hard.
Know your audience. No, watch out for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better call the popo on him. Oh, man. All right. Well, today's episode is about why we care about what people think.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. Which ties in, when you're having to do something on stage, when the attention is on you.
Yeah.
But also in little interactions or sometimes in non-interactions where you're just afraid of what people would think. So you don't go out, you don't show up, you don't put yourself out there, you don't seek connection.
For sure.
And I guess one thing I really want to get an understanding of, because I think for the most part, when we think caring about what people think, it's coming from a place of, ew, I don't want that. Like that doesn't, it's hard to navigate life when there's kind of a judgment that you feel on you. Like, I guess that phrase, caring what other people think, is usually from my interactions seen as like a negative, like don't care what other people think, just do your own thing. And it's always kind of, viewed as something to just ignore. Yeah.
Like almost like a black and white kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And you're saying that's like the wrong way of...
No, that would be black and white too. I'm just saying I want us to explore it because there's also a reason for that.
Yeah.
We are social creatures. Aristotle said man is by nature a social animal. And part of being social is that we survived. Humans survived evolutionarily so that we could get the approval meant for safety and the resources that we needed to just continue living and thrive. So that's the way that humans are really designed, is in these little communities. And it's our reward system even. Like the brain gives you a shot of dopamine when you get social acceptance and it feels good. And our mirror neurons are designed to try to empathize and connect with other people. They're designed and wired for social connectivity and social norms. So I think the other piece that is important is that when we're getting feedback that might actually be true about us, we shouldn't ignore it either.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's been like what you're describing has been like the thesis of the last couple months for me, because like that one Harvard study that they found that like what creates happiness for people, and they determined it was relationships. It was like a 70-year study, and that's so true. I mean, that's basically like the reason for life is for deep human connection and relationships. So that's definitely something you can't just like avoid. Like
if you want to live a life worth living, if you want to live a life that you feel satisfied with, you're going to need other people. And I know I've mentioned it several times on this podcast, but we're in this epidemic of loneliness.
Right.
I feel there's a lot of people that are opting out of seeking connection for fear. Fear of being hurt, fear of being judged.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. And, it's hard because being within human connection is the thing that can heal you. And it's also the thing that causes a lot of harm and hurt.
Yeah.
Especially when we don't process it fully or well. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's like there's no denying that we just simply need human connection. But then the thing that I noticed that I was doing was I had really made myself small and subject to like other people. Like I sort of projected what I thought people were thinking about of me, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so
mind reading.
Yeah. And I was wrong. And so but I still kind of molded myself and stripped myself down to appear a certain way that I thought would give me the best shot at receiving like validation and love. Yeah. Right. And so as long as I still appeared that way, then in my mind, I gave myself the best shot at cultivating some kind of connections. But I was so lonely, and I had such horrible anxiety and such depression.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So when we care too much that we aren't letting our true authenticity out, we feel that we're over caring, we're over empathizing with others, and under empathizing with ourselves, and making corrections to just who we really are, and fears of judgment and self-limiting expression. That's the dark side of caring too much about what people think.
Right.
So this is where I want to instill this balance. And I think it's my word of the year. It's late for me coming to it because it's the end of October, but discerning, to be able to discern. So we're all influenced by the world around us, the relationships that we've had that have been beautiful and the ones that have been painful. But the key in learning how to discern which influences are beneficial and which are harmful, that's a really important piece.
Yeah.
Does this serve me? And sometimes I've gotten feedback and it's been a positive piece of my personal growth. And if you're humble enough to really hear it and sit with it without being a jerk to yourself, you can really create some really positive change in your life.
Yeah.
Other times there's feedback that we get that's just mean and unnecessary and rooted or tangled in someone else's trauma or has nothing to do with us. And it's a projection, or it's coming from an unhealed place in another person.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
And any of those reasons too that's not a reflection of you. That's not a reflection of your worth or your lovability or your ability to have meaningful relationships.
Yeah.
Right? It's our traumas bumping into one another.
Right. That I had a dirty image when you said that.
God.
But sorry.
That was a big eye roll.
But no, everything you're saying is it's totally resonating with me because like, I think that the clear distinction that I discovered was that, the difference between being an overcorrected version of yourself versus being an authentic version of yourself. And so like when I was experiencing that like horrible stripping down and anxiety, I was the one who was feeding that. It was my internal dialogue going, oh, you have to like make sure you hide these parts of yourself because they're going to be unacceptable. And I mean, and nobody was really telling me that. That was just like how I was interpreting specific things. But I mean, there are some people that will correct you and then you internalize it and you sort of push down certain parts of yourself because you're like, oh, well, I'm too embarrassed about this part of myself. But then I took a month where I just sat in that discomfort and really like let it show me that I had abandoned myself. And so by the end of that month, then I felt no anxiety. And I was like, I am my authentic self, that I have excavated my authenticity and I don't give a shit what people think. This is who I am. Take it or leave it, you know? And then that I feel like if everyone...
As long as you can confirm that you're not a serial killer. Oh, God.
I can confirm that I'm not a serial killer. Well, when I said excavating bodies, I'm just kidding.
Oh God.
No.
Sorry. Threw you off course. Yeah, that you're feeling more confident in knowing who you are and being able to express it and being able to show up that way.
Yeah.
And just embody it.
And what I've noticed, and what's crazy is that the parts that I was like embarrassed, which is so like, the parts that I was embarrassed to display when I finally was just like fuck this, this is me. Then a whole bunch of people started coming and like reaching out because you
know what? Okay. Sorry, James. This is no offense, but we have a brotherly sisterly thing going on, so I don't find you attractive. But authenticity is sexy. That's why.
I was gonna say, like that's the one thing that humans crave more than anything is authenticity. And then like because what I've noticed is that when I like really put my authenticity out there, other people are like sliding into my DMs, just like, hey, I'm so proud of you, and like it's almost like they're saying, like I am like low key jealous that you're you're putting yourself out there.
There's a difference between jealousy and envy too.
Yeah.
And I want to just give a short little distinction because I think it will connect to what you're saying. But jealousy is that like, I would covet what they have.
Yeah.
And envy is, I would love if that I was also having that experience, but there can also be joy for that person, right? That's having that experience. Like, wow. But you're right, because like authenticity is sexy because it is not being fearful of showing yourself.
Right.
And so that's the piece that they are envious of or that they are attracted to and why they're reaching out and celebrating when they see that you're doing that, because I think the people that celebrate that also know the difficulty and the challenge for most people to get to a place of being there.
Well, I was gonna say,
it's an accomplishment.
I wish I could say it's easy to get there, but it was the most brutal, painful thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And I'm such solid ground, but there are still challenges as I continue to fine tune more and more of who that is for me. Like you're continually evolving and figuring it out.
Well, you have to like almost dismantle your core beliefs.
Yeah.
And I mean, because like you've carried this like corrections, like when your parents taught you, your teachers, all your peers and everything told you like these parts of you are unacceptable, and you're like, absolutely, I believe you.
Right. And for both of us, the generation that we grew up in, and for most of our listeners, they're in a similar age bracket as we are, but it was a much more authoritarian style of parenting
boomers.
And of teaching. So it was to them, there was a clear right and wrong.
Right.
And there were repercussions. And so, you know, and to say, I think it's continued to get better because I think it was even harder for their parenting journey too, right? So like where it's starting to trickle down. But yeah, there's this more critical nature and societal soup we were all kind of raised in.
Yeah. Yeah, as a cannibal, societal soup sounds delicious.
Oh god! Well, I mean, this will probably be released like Halloween week, so maybe this is fitting. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
I
have a whole
spooky sounds in there.
I didn't realize that I have a lot of comedic material about cannibalism. Well, I guess you couldn't really say comedic because nobody laughs. But anyway, so
I mean,
it's an
I'll
inside
laugh
joke.
At nobody laughing. That's kind of funny. But I'm sorry. I mean, like it'll pick up.
Yeah.
But to enjoy something just for the sake of doing it and putting yourself out there and getting used to and getting comfortable with doing that is totally something to feel proud of and is really cool. Because at the end of the day, similarly, I guess I've started writing a book. And
oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, with Zach.
That's so amazing. I've thought you should write a book. Go ahead.
Oh, thanks. I know I'm getting like, and it's been so fun and invigorating to write it. And today I realized there was this in the last week or so, like silent moments in my day. I was feeling like an agitation inside, an unsettledness, and I couldn't figure out why. Like I wanted distractions, more distractions than normal. And to me, when I'm noticing that, it's a sign to really sit with it and feel it out and what's coming up. And I realized there was a part of me that was having some imposter syndrome and was like, how much do you want to put yourself out there? Even though I do quite a bit right here on the podcast and on our channel, but like, there's an intimidation factor there. You know, do I really have anything that people want to hear or is helpful? Is our story something that could be helpful to other people? Like, what is my why? What is my why for why I want to do this and go in this direction?
Well,
I really took time today to process that.
Yeah, no, I think that's wise to sit with it. Cause like, well, first of all, I've said before that like, because like writing, I think is an art for sure. And like comedy is a performing art, like music is an art, you know, all that stuff. I've said that art, like real art is just simply an offering of your authenticity.
Yeah.
And so like, you have, so like when you're actually going for it, there's going to be those little demons that you've always battled that are going to like try to stop you. Cause like to be authentic and like to offer it up is such a gift to the world, it's like, but I mean like, it's almost, your imposter syndrome, you feel.
Yeah, it was like a fear. I recognized a fear of failure and a fear of success, which was interesting.
Yeah, it's such a vulnerability because like you're like, if this doesn't go well, it's going to be such an attack against the core of who I truly am, right?
You know, I think I'm at a different place, so my fears sound different.
Okay.
Yeah, but I get that. I totally get that. And I've been at that point.
Well, I was going to say, I can't think of somebody who's more qualified to write a book. So just write the book. And also like we have a whole bunch of subscribers that would line up to buy your book.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Like you could plug it on all the reactions and everything. And like we could link it and.
Oh my gosh. Your support is really lifting me up right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't think of that stuff?
I mean, I did, but I'm just starting to sharing it out loud. I guess.
I bet if you posted,
I didn't even realize this was the first time I'd said it out loud with you.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is. But I've always thought like eventually you should write a book, because like I mean, like the greats like Brene Brown, Brianna Wiest, all of them, you know, they write books. Young Pueblo. Yeah. I
know. I love all of them.
And then you could go, and then I could go on my comedy tour, and you guys could go on a book tour right along with me.
Look at us.
Look at us.
Daydreaming. Get an RV.
No, we're not daydreaming. We're manifesting.
We're manifesting.
Yeah. It's going to happen. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. But it's important in whatever thing that, I mean, I could guarantee that everyone listening, there's some area of your life that you are caring too much about what people think for some reason. You need to just freaking go for it, yeah. So what I would love for all of you to do is really sit with, like where is that part that's doing that? Or is there like self-sabotage? Like I was noticing some self-sabotage and I needed to navigate that. And like, where is it coming from? What memories kind of tie into that? And how can I be gentle and not harsh with this part?
Yeah.
Because we're, like I already mentioned and is clear, we're kind of assholes to ourselves in our head. It's not something we would say to anyone else. So the critical thoughts that you're having, there's an antidote to.
Yeah.
You've got to sit with the discomfort of like just feeling your feelings to
you
get there.
That's sad. I mean, that's not sad. It's just the scary thing. That's what most people avoid. And so like when you actually do it, you go, well, I'm going on like some pretty uncharted territory that like most people are too afraid.
Yeah.
You know?
And here's the thing too, there's always a little hidden areas that you'll discover.
Yeah.
I thought that I have done a lot of parts work. And then for some reason I realized, oh, this is a part I haven't like flushed out fully.
Yeah.
That I need to understand more. And I already feel like an unburdening.
Yeah. Well, you feel like you're like honoring yourself, right?
Yeah. I feel like the conclusion I came to is my goal in anything I'm doing on the podcast in any of my work, really, even my therapy. It's like, I just want to love people.
Yeah.
I just want to like help them see how lovable they are and give them strategies to do the same work that I've done to really heal from chronic PTSD and anxiety and depression and thrive.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to practice what you preach. And that's like, you got to put yourself out there.
Right.
You've got to like dismantle those things. You've got to navigate that. You got to walk into the storm. And what I felt confident in is like, I can't predict the future. I will make mistakes. I am not here saying that I am perfect, nor do I have all the answers, but I can do that shit with authenticity.
Yeah. And then you feel free.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful part of it. Cause like, yeah, if you're like living out your authenticity and really just going for it, like that takes guts. Number one. Yeah. Number two, it's like such an honoring to like your inner child.
Yeah.
And like you're fundamentally who you are. And it's such a, like for me, since I like really went after, like I just kind of went for it over the last 7 days, I have felt like a purpose, like a new purpose, you know? And where every day is just like, there's like no depression anymore. There's no anxiety. I'm just like, this is what I'm doing. I'm blazing forward. And so, yeah, like I want that for everyone, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like, you need to sit with your unhealed places and go through that pain. And like, at first there's going to be those waves and it's going to be hard, but eventually you're going to start to kind of get a feel for it. And then just remember your dreams and like don't shy away from them and pretty soon you're gonna start to like what's gonna emerge is your purpose. And then once you connect with that and you like start to kind of like lean into that and take like 1 inch into it, then you're gonna feel so alive. I mean, yeah, it's hard to explain.
Well, even more than you made such beautiful points, but even further, I think that this authenticity, this intuition that we're following and continue to fine tune, it is that soul seed from Creator, the divine, God, like, name your deity. And it is our highest good to be in a position where we feel brave enough to express that.
Yeah.
And it's part of healing the collective. And that sounds kind of woo. It's just a gift. It's a gift to the collective, to everyone who then gets to interact with you. And it reminds them of that spark inside them too. Like just our mirror neurons, you know, when I see authenticity, it sparks something in me because I want that. There's a craving we all have to come to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I was sharing offline, I've seen a lot of people gravitate towards me lately because I did that.
Yeah, you were brave, and that's exciting, and that's why I love celebrating people who are taking those first steps. Especially when I think back that poem. I've said it so many times. I've recited it on the podcast, so I won't again. But the arena or the speech by Teddy Roosevelt. It's like, when you're stepping into the arena. And you're like, all right, I got this one life.
Yeah.
What adventures do I want to fill it with? Like, how do I want to leave my mark?
Right.
And not shy away. Because I think so many people, and I did this for so many years, so this is not a criticism, but we're afraid.
Yeah. And what's crazy, like that, because that speech, the man in the arena, is kind of like from the perspective of like, if you're not in the arena, then who are you to like criticize the man that is? But like what I notice is there's actually not very much criticism. Like nobody has reached out to me and been like, yeah, I think that you shouldn't go for this, you know? And I mean, I'm sure that some people believe that, but they don't say it. And at the same, it's also kind of like, who gives a shit? You know?
Yeah. And I think, my hope would be that anyone who starts something and is brave enough to do that gets that kind of feedback from the people around them when it's really aligned with the who they are element.
Well, I bet if you posted on your Facebook right now, like, I'm going to write a book, you would get 1,000 loves and comments like, oh my gosh, yeah, I think you should. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I probably would. You know, it's funny. I don't think that that's what I'm craving, even though that feels
I know.
really
I'm just
nice.
saying.
Yeah. No, I think, but it does. I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't help. It's nice to get that feedback and to know that there's belief in it.
Yeah.
I think I've been working on not attaching it's hard for me to even want to attach like a financial goal to it at all or anything like that. It's like, no, I just feel it in me that it needs to get out.
Well, that's a really great byproduct for for your authenticity is that you'll get a lot of supporters and you could potentially make a lot of money. That's not the reason you're doing it, but those are very happy like byproducts of it, you know? Potentially.
And then I also want to speak to like this, like everything that we've done with Delightfully Dysfunctional. The navigation of that has necessitated for us to have discernment in the direction that we want this to be into.
Yeah.
And to not let judgment sink in and affect us in a negative way while still being open to feedback.
Yeah, that's crazy because I remember when you first did your like first reaction, your Ren reaction, and we got hammered.
I didn't really know how to do reactions that well, you guys. Well, I'm still learning. I'm very open to be learning and
but I mean we took the feedback and we tweaked it, and then now people love you, and so like. But yeah, I think that's wonderful because that is this has been like a kind of a boilerplate of creativity, you know, like almost like a petri dish where we can
where we can play a little.
Yeah, exactly. And we do put we are very like vulnerable and authentic on this. So it's almost like it's been like strength training for authenticity.
Yes,
you know?
It has been strength training for
so those muscles are strong. Yeah,
I love thinking of it that way. Yeah, maybe that's what we should name it. Yeah, and I just think back to the version of me that was really scared when we started and was so fearful of negative feedback. And at that point, I just reminded myself, well, I trust myself to be able to navigate hard conversations or hard decisions. So I don't need to what if
right
every scenario. I just proceed.
Yeah, and look at you now.
Listen, look at me now. Sitting in my sweatshirt and my cozy blanket.
No, I mean, because like when you did your speaking thing for the women in business, or whatever. Yeah, and like I've heard nothing but great feedback on that. You know,
it really sparked me to be like, this is what I really love. Like I love working with my individual clients, but there's such a fun energy with working with a group and getting to be. Like a spark for them. You can see a shift and like, shit, I'm thinking about shit differently.
Well, here's what you can do. Write your book, book a book tour.
Check. Okay.
And then
taking notes.
Every stop you're going to have like a TED Talk style thing. And then you're going to have a book signing. Yeah, you can. That'll be your book tour.
I'm here. Thank you for manifesting with me. I'm here for it. I love it. One thing that I feel like I'm going on a tangent. We kind of are, and at the same time, it totally blends with the topic.
Right. This is I love this conversation.
Okay, we're going with it. One piece of feedback that I've heard a few times on the podcast, and I actually do want to address.
Okay.
Those people who made those comments may or may not even be listening, but sometimes there have been comments when I'm sharing emotion or I'm crying or I'm being honest or vulnerable while watching the reactions that are like, this lady needs therapy or she's a therapist. Like, get it together.
They've said that?
Yeah, I'm not upset about it.
Okay.
I just feel like I want to clarify, because when I hear those things, what I think is actually, none of it is like feeling bad about that. I feel very good about authentically being me. And I'm a crier. I can't, like, don't make me watch a Disney movie. Don't.
They always kill the dad. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. No, it makes me think, wow, that person feels uncomfortable with their emotions.
Yeah.
So they're uncomfortable with seeing mine.
Mm-hmm.
And also doesn't understand that, like, healers and therapists, they should be in therapy. You want them to be in therapy. You want your therapist to be digging deep into the roots of who they are and understanding it and practicing all these hard things and navigating those dark places so that they can guide the way and show you. First of all, I know that there is no perfect person on this planet, and that there is no person who was just sent here and has all the answers for you and it is never had any problems they've had to navigate in their life. That doesn't exist.
Right.
So they also have a skewed perspective of what a therapist is, or has had a poor experience with someone who felt like they were the expert or was authoritarian in nature.
Yeah.
So the only thing, which sounds like I'm judging them. I'm not. I just like, this is what the underlying current of those comments, I think, is shadowed by. And I just want to say, I'm very okay with normalizing human emotion and how to be vulnerable, and that therapists are human. Like, I show up here trying to be like Kaylani the human. I just happen to be a therapist.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that type of, I mean, I know that they're kind of joking a lot of the times, but like, but that whole thought behind it is like the stigma of therapy. Like if you're crying, then you need therapy. It's like, you're right. Everyone needs therapy, but especially if you're not crying.
If you're not crying, you need therapy.
Yeah,
more,
you're probably suppressing.
Yeah,
like,
you are emotionally constipated.
Especially if you're the one who said that. That means that you have you have a very you misunderstand the point of therapy, and so crying to you means that there's issues. Oh, you've been running from something for a long time.
Well, I'm not gonna like. I don't have any prediction past that.
I'm diagnosing them. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Dr. James over here. Watch out. No, I don't. I guess to me, the only reason why I wanted to pause there was let's see. I wanted to be more understood and be more fully seen.
Yeah.
I guess that's why. And I'm okay with the navigating of that and the authenticity and the vulnerable and all of that.
Well, our most watched videos feature you crying.
I know people love it when I
cry. So like, keep the tears coming.
Yeah.
Give us suggestions on how we can make Kaylani cry.
How to make me cry. Oh my gosh, it's so messed up, but it's true that those are the ones that are popular.
Yeah, the Jelly Roll one and the Fresh Prince one. You cried on both of those.
They were tearjerkers, man. If you didn't cry, you have no soul.
Although our most watched video is a reel, the Ted Lasso one, that nobody cried on that.
No one cried. No.
But I think that the viewers cried. That was a good one.
So I think we need to learn what are these strategies or ways that we can navigate the balance between caring and not caring? And, either, and that like chronic fear of rejection or low self-esteem and depression, all of those things, and people-pleasing behaviors, all of these things just add to inauthenticity.
Yeah.
And so, when you care too much about what other people think, it really makes you become a prisoner.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And you're the one putting yourself in that cage.
Yeah. And then the door's unlocked. Well, can I take a stab at like the solution?
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm just kidding. I think that
a stab. Look at these, like.
Oh, that was unintentional. No pun intended. Hashtag serial killer.
Oh God.
No, but like to answer that question, I think that if you live relentlessly authentically, you have to kind of reach an agreement with yourself and have integrity with that person, And so if you are relentless with that integrity, then no matter who it comes into your life, those that you want to keep in your life are in support of that integrity that you have with yourself. Yeah. And so it's pretty easy to like now draw a hard line of who is invited to your life and who's not. And that's simply the people that align with that agreement with yourself, you know? And so, but like, again, it's brutal to really figure out who you authentically are. And it takes a lot of like deconstructing and like enforcing boundaries and like removing specific people and influences. And so, yeah,
it does to be able to find it. And you hit on a lot of the strategies because part of it is like self-reflection and awareness. You have to identify whose opinions matter and why. And you got to figure out who you are and what's important.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're talking about like who gets to stay and like setting boundaries. And that is a really important piece, setting boundaries and choosing which feedback that you allow to impact your self-worth.
Yeah.
And setting boundaries with the people in your life. But there's a lot of people, again, we're in this epidemic of loneliness. There's a lot of people and a lot of our listeners who might not have a strong support system or friend network. And then my messaging is just slightly different because they exist. Mm-hmm. I know that the fear of making connections or being hurt is what has driven a lot of people to isolate and to not put themselves out there. But your people are out there. They are. And maybe that's the first step to bravery is just like, how do I find them? Well, what are you into? What are the activities you like?
Yeah.
Look in your community to see if there's any clubs that are all doing that, are all meeting for D&D. There's a painting thing. There's an art walk. There's just different things in the community. There's the community ed stuff the classes that you can attend.
Yeah.
So try to be open to it and figure out a way to test the waters there because you do need to have some support in your corner. It helps anyways on the journey.
Or get a prostitute. And
Don't
then
do that.
She will tell you everything you want to hear as long as you pay enough.
Oh, God.
So speaking of, just joking. Speaking of D&D, I saw this TikTok.
This is quite a segue. Okay, D&D. I'm here.
I saw, speaking of double D, sorry, it's prostitutes. Dungeons and Dragons, you mentioned that. I saw this TikTok where this lady was like explaining what like the rule, how to play. And I was like, and it was so wonderfully explained. And now I want to play D&D.
Oh, we've played it once. I've played it a couple of times.
I feel like I would be a good storyteller.
Yeah, maybe that's the dungeon master.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I feel like that would be my calling.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe when Oakley comes back, we should have a D&D night.
Wait, do you guys play all the time? Are you guys nerds?
No, not all the time. I've played twice. Both time, like one time was someone who knew what they were doing, so they were figured it out. I remember I was what was it?
Should we live stream it on YouTube and TikTok?
Only if like a lot of people comment and say they want that. I don't know that there's a high need for us specifically to play D&D.
You know, I think we could live stream though from both of those channels is relationship advice. Like one of these days we just like sit there and drink on a Friday night and just be like, give us your relationship or ask us anything and we will live stream.
I don't drink very much. I'll have a little micro dose. I'll be very
we don't have to drink. I was just.
You mean you can? I don't care.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't.
I don't. Do whatever you want.
Okay.
You do you.
Because I'll give bad advice when I drink.
Oh, it's already a little rough today.
Listen,
so maybe
Listen, Shelly, you sound lonely. Why don't you head over here? That's what I would say.
Dear. You know, sometimes I'm afraid to be associated with you. I'm not gonna lie.
You're not the first person that's told me that today.
Oh God, today.
This week.
Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna rebalance us. Here we go. Focus, Kaylani, focus. Speaking of, the next point is to focus on your own values and goals instead of external approval. And that's something I love walking clients through. It's so much fun to like develop your own mission statement.
Yeah.
What is that juicy thing that you want to chase in life? Being mindful, being present, aware of your nervous system and your responses to judgment or to taking chances. And that's something that I was noticing. I was like, oh, my nervous system is really wanting to distract me whenever I am trying to create discipline over here. Mm-hmm. Let me have a little meeting with it. Let's sit down. I journaled for 2 hours today. It was great.
That's amazing.
And then to seek those authentic relationships, really find those people who support your true self. And for some, I will speak for myself, it was a really painful process of identifying who those people were, because I found myself as a very giving and kind person in some codependent situations.
Yeah.
This was like several years ago now. And then I was like, oh, I think I've found myself in connection that the close people in my life all have a little sprinkling of some narcissism. And that was difficult then, because those aren't going to be the kinds of people who are seeking your highest authenticity and wanting that.
Right.
They're wanting you to serve them in some way. And that's more of the MO.
And usually narcissistic type people are the hardest to like enforce boundaries with too.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, just pay attention to the relationships in your life and what's healthy, because those can be kind of boulders on your path to discovering more about what it is that lights you up and how you can pursue it and what those little baby steps are. Yeah.
You mentioned the mission statement. I just want we kind of glanced over it, but I think because like one thing that you did for me was that like, I think it was Brene Brown's exercise, right?
Yeah.
And
so she has a list. If you just search Brene Brown values, you'll find her whole list of values, but
I mean, I have that hanging in my cubicle, and I read it every morning. And like you wrote a mission statement for me, and it's exactly like who my authentic self is. So like that reminder every day. And I mean, cause like, even if you don't quite know like what your dream is or whatever, what you want to pursue, as long as you kind of have like a framework of who you are, then I feel like
it's a good guidepost.
Yeah. Then you'll think other parts will start to reveal themselves. And so if you can I would strongly encourage everyone to go and do that exercise with Brene Brown and take those key words that it kind of spits out, and then maybe go to ChatGPT and write
that could help. That's true.
2-sentence. We should try one right now. Well, not right now, but we should try one.
We'll try one. Yeah, maybe we'll walk through the activity again. I think that would be cool. But to find a statement that just really fits with you, that your intuition is excited about.
Yeah, and then read it every day.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to have all the answers. I think for a lot of people, it feels like daunting and overwhelming, and they don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
But if you can identify like our 6-7-ish kind of words that you really feel are important to you, that you value, that you want to live, that you want to instill, and that you admire, and you can get a lot of clarity that way.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, cause like that, your authentic self is probably for a lot of people, just, you're so far away from it that it's like buried under a bunch of dirt. So then like the more you pull it out and it starts to emerge, then the more like guidance and clarity you'll start to see. So you can't expect that like on day one, you're going to have this like really clear vision if you've been running from it for so long, you know?
And it's going to help. That's a huge piece that will help you feel that internal validation rather than seek it out externally.
Yeah.
Then it's like, feels good to be like, oh man, I am getting closer to living those values more fully every day.
And that, you know, it's crazy that you said that, because like I was so afraid of being alone and lonely. And then once I like connected with my authenticity, then I'm perfectly fine, happy being alone, because like now I've I've healed the relationship with myself, you know. Now I feel like I'm enough for my life, you know. And so that's another thing.
Our intuition and our authenticity don't like liars. And when we are living inauthentically, being alone feels hard. Being alone in your head, in your thoughts, being alone, meaning not in a relationship or being isolated. And we have to then question, when we feel that discomfort and anxiety internally with us, what part of us is incongruent with that mission statement and with those values. And when are the moments that I'm feeling that I'm putting too much weight into what other people think? And how am I able to brush off and have discernment when it comes to the judgments that matter and don't? Just start paying a little bit more attention to your internal world. And then another thought exercise is to visualize your life, if you stopped caring about superficial opinions.
Yeah.
How does that feel? What's going on then? You know?
Yeah.
Now, this is, again, the fine line is superficial opinions, the opinions of others that that are not helpful, unkind, or, just petty, especially. But then when someone who cares about us has true concern for us, we should let that sink in.
Yeah.
We should sit with that. So that, I think, is a good way to find some distinction around how do I tell if I should care or not care, right?
Yeah.
So the goal isn't to eliminate caring, but to just ensure that it is serving your well-being, because there's no one that can be everybody's cup of tea.
Right.
There are plenty of people that I've interacted with that are like, there's something about me, just like for other people, just reflect on this within your own life. There's something about you that is turning that person off, but it might just be that you're reminding them of an unhealed part of themselves. You don't have to take it personally.
Yeah.
I don't have to feel like that means there's something wrong with me.
Right. Yeah. And that goes back to like your relationship with yourself. If somebody's like disapproval of you is enough for you to like really like want to run and hide, then because like you said, it's not really personal. It's just something that is it's their problem. But if you have a good relationship with yourself, then it's like, okay, well, that person's not for me. Then, that's great. Like they don't align with my authenticity, So yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's none of my business. What they think about me is none of my business.
Although if they're like really attractive, that's different.
Oh dear.
Just kidding.
Mind in the gutter again. The overall thing that I just would love for people to take away is, feeling a little bit more hunger to understand that authentic side of themselves and how to grow it, how to nurture it, and caring about what people think is natural. It's not all bad.
Yeah.
But we've got to decide what our influences are and who's influencing our life. And
right.
Is it influencing us in a positive way or in a way that makes us feel that we have to fit in a box?
Yeah.
Or be limited in some way, feel like we have to wear a mask instead of just really being ourselves.
Right.
So this was a fun conversation.
Yeah, this is a beautiful conversation. I loved it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you everybody for joining us for this conversation today.
Tell us what resonated with you. And you know what? Comment what be bold and comment what your dreams are, and we will specifically encourage them.
Oh my gosh, that would be so much fun.
Yeah.
Please do that. I love that.
Or write your mission statement out.
Yeah.
Tell us if you did that ChatGPT exercise with Brene Brown. What I'm talking about.
We did it. Yeah. And then the last thing that I'll say is, if you find that doing all of that on your own is challenging, which I get and I understand, then I have some availability still, and you could schedule a discovery call. Just go to CoachKaylani.com, and that's an opportunity to possibly work with me in a life coaching capacity, especially when navigating. How do we find that true authenticity? It's my favorite. It's my favorite topic. It's so much fun. And you can check us out on Instagram and on TikTok at DelightfulPod, and find me, my therapist page, at Kaylani_evolve.
And soon, Amazon Books.
Oh, gosh, I just got a tummy flip. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, delightful humans. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.